Double up.
Champion.
Yes, sir. I forgot to do our awesome intro, man. But
It's all good. It's all good. It's one of those Mondays.
we're already here now. We're already here now, man. Let's see. Let's pull up the chat, man, and see who's joining us. Good morning, everyone. I hope my audio is good, man, because the past couple videos we did, actually, my audio was kind of sketchy.
Yeah, man.
So,
Streaming doing this all nonsense.
Hey, man, dude, we gotta move away from this thing. It's ridiculous.
Streaming at y'all screwing up over there, man.
Exactly. All right, let's see here. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, man. Phew, interesting times. I'm gonna share my screen here. All right. So this morning we currently have Bitcoin trading at $21,970.
I just bought more, by the way.
Oh, you did? Good.
Just before we went live, I just bought more.
I've been steadily buying, man. Actually, I haven't bought any this morning, so I need to do that after this show. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. Let's make sure that we are live and everything is good, and we'll get started on this thing. While I'm doing this, go ahead, man. What is your take on the Bitcoin chart this morning?
Well, I'm liking what I see, but there are some crazy times ahead. As we all know, the macroeconomic situation is impacting the Bitcoin price action. And this week is when the Feds do their thing. I think it's probably going to be priced in at this point. The 0.50 or 0.50 basis point, 0.7 basis point, even 100% basis point, what gives a flying F? Either way, we're still buying Bitcoin. Well, what we see here is a bullish divergence, which means that we literally have a channel going up here, up and down we go, but slightly going upwards. And we've seen this trend around June 18th, starting around June 18th, which has been really good. So each time the candles start falling back, we usually buy more. We use the technical analysis just as our entry point so that we're not always buying the top of the candles. So right now it's trending upwards, but we do see a concern here though. A lot of people are screaming, oh, Bitcoin is going to 28,000, it's going to 29,000. We're like, no, guys, chill down. There's no need to rush. We still have some resistance here. So the 23K level is a major resistance. It needs to break out of that level for this bullish continuation to continue. If it doesn't, and it stays within the channel, that's still good news. But it has to hold around that 20K price for us to be in a good place. Now, if it breaks below 19K, then we have trouble ahead. So in the meantime, things are looking okay. Prices might come down a little bit more. We don't know what's going to happen on Thursday or whatever day it is that the Fed decides to do their thing. But we'll give a flying F. We just got to do what we're going to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that upward trend is still there. So I'm just going to keep buying within that channel. That's just the goal at this point in time. Now, let's jump into some other updates here, right? I guess we're looking at this macroeconomic view and just some things that are happening. And I think that it is important for Bitcoin because when we talk about the Federal Reserve currency, right? Bitcoin definitely comes up in the conversation. Interestingly, Ethereum doesn't. So I wonder why that is. But anyway, let's carry on here. So as you know right now, one thing that is happening and something that I'm actually quite surprised that is not showing up in the news, right? There's no coverage. There's not a lot of coverage on this. We can see that Russia, China, and the BRICS nations, right? I think this is
Brazil, Russia,
India, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and somewhere else.
South Africa.
Right. So these nations are essentially planning to craft a new international reserve currency, essentially moving off the SWIFT system. And I think it is important for everyone to understand exactly, just the impact that it can have on the US dollar. So currently the US dollar is the reserve currency. And
around the globe,
right?
The reserve currency of the world.
Right, the reserve currency of the world. There we go.
The entire planet.
And, they use the SWIFT system. This is I guess you could say a platform, a system which countries use to transact with each other, right? Founded in 1973, headquartered in Belgium, has about 1,100 banks in their network. And this is how pretty much every country has been able to kind of transact with each other using the dollar as the main means of transaction.
You know what's so bad? If Africa wants to trade with Africa, they gotta go all the way. to Europe before they can trade with themselves.
Isn't that
That's how
insane?
bad it is.
Dude, they have to get permission
Yeah.
from some of these European countries just to
Yeah,
be
they're
able to trade.
colonizers. Yeah.
Exactly. And so what happened then is, and this is happening. This is not just happening overnight, right? This has been going for a while. I think we did a video about this a while back as well.
Yeah.
But this is from 2019, and you can see that in 2019, even before this, you can see that countries like China and Russia have been stockpiling gold.
Slowing down there. Yeah,
Exactly.
Was it last week that we found out that China actually had less US dollar the first time ever? They had like 900 billion or so instead of the usual 1 trillion or more US dollar in reserves.
Yeah, I
So
don't,
they were
I don't
down.
remember. Yes, I don't remember the exact number, but I know that they stopped buying US debt. That's for sure.
Yep.
And they've been stockpiling all of this gold because obviously they could create a reserve currency that is actually backed by something, right? So gold and other minerals from the earth. And I think one of those is uranium, which is very important. And I know right now Russia supplies most of America's uranium, which means if they were to suddenly cut that supply, you know, the US will have to like figure out something else, right? Which I think they're scrambling to do right now.
Yep.
But with this, it seems to me that these guys are setting up a system where they can just use their own reserve currency, and that will have a major impact on the US, right? So is it while inflation data in Europe and in the US has risen significantly, right? Significantly higher last month, Russia and members of the BRICS countries reviewed leaders in the 5 major emerging economies are in the midst of creating an international reserve currency. Analysts believe BRICS reserve currency is meant to rival the US dollar, obviously, and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. So as we know, obviously the IMF is like the king of predatory loans, right? They give countries loans that they cannot afford to pay back. Then they pretty much own your country at that point. So, let's look at some comments here. We have JJ Wentworth. I like that name, dude. It sounds official.
Yeah.
JJ Wentworth says, "Good morning, brothers. Good morning, brother. How's it going?" All right. So Vladimir Putin had like a 70-minute speech, right? Essentially outlining this idea for their new reserve currency. And the incredible thing about this is that Russia is quickly building relationships with all these other countries around it, and even the African nations. I mean, when you look at, I've never seen such a summit where there were African leaders in it. We at least have one there, South Africa.
So much brown people.
Exactly. Right? So I think whatever the case might be, whether no matter how they feel about Africa, I think that this is a strategy to win over the hearts of these other nations, right? Who, if you look at all of them, these are people that are probably not happy with the way they've been doing business with America. I think that is very important for us to pay attention to this, because if these countries are able to build an alliance with their own reserve currency, that takes away a lot of America's trading partners, and now they could potentially force America to trade with them in their own reserve currency.
Yeah,
I think that instantly puts us on a disadvantaged situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this is coming from us Americans, right? So we're not saying this to bash America. We're just trying to let people know what's going on around the world, so they don't sit around getting some FUD or some mass media crap about America is great. We can be greater. We could be great if we strategize better. But our global policies of the past is coming back to bite us in the butt now, to the point that these other nations that we fully depend on. We need China, really. We need China. We can't do nothing without China. It's not coming. It's not coming out now that we actually also need Russia. We can do nothing without Russia, even though the media constantly bash China and constantly bash Russia. We can't do anything without these guys. All our tech jobs have been shipped to India. We need India as well. But this whole time, these guys are saying, you know what, we're tired of your policies. We're gonna come up with our own trading currency so that we don't have to deal with your crap. And we're over here thinking, oh, everything is fine and dandy. Whereas the value of the dollar keeps going. Well, right now the value of the dollar is up. But that's bad news for all of them.
Yeah. Well, the value of the dollar is up now, but at the same time, you see that you have fewer and fewer countries using the dollar. I think there were like 23 countries altogether at this point that are planning to get away from the dollar. So if the value of the dollar is going up but no one is using it, then what does it matter?
Right? Because on the global,
on a global scale, because you have to be able to transact with the rest of the world, right, to keep America's economy running as it is. Now, I don't think that this should really come as a surprise to people, because if you think about it, when you're the reserve currency, right, and then you get to a point where you start weaponizing that currency against other countries, right, when you start sanctioning other countries for doing whatever it is they do, which I'm pretty sure is probably not anything that we haven't done either.
Haven't done right? Was.
I think all these other countries will be taking note. They'll be going, hey, this could happen to me as well. Obviously, everyone, you've probably heard this. So, here we go. The game plan is here, and these guys are now straight up coming out with it. I'll also add, what was it, last week? Biden went to the Middle East.
Saudi
Arabia, right? Tried to secure a gas deal, tried to strengthen relationships with, I think it was Iran and Saudi Arabia.
With their frenemies,
Exactly, right?
People that you screwed over.
Right, and he failed at it. But the thing is, Putin went there, I think it was a week after, and he was able to essentially build some sort of an alliance with all of these countries and secured, I think it was like a $40 billion gas deal with Iran. And then with Saudi Arabia, they're selling gas to Saudi Arabia for super cheap. And then Saudi Arabia is now selling their own gas, which they were selling before, to the rest of the world for a higher for a markup. So if you look at things on a global scale, it will seem that clearly the map is being redrawn, right? And when I look at this, I ask myself, what is the U.S.'s play here? What are they going to do next? If you have all these other countries trading outside of the U.S. dollar, outside of the SWIFT system, it would seem to me that it would be a good idea to hop on something else that is more solid, because all they're trying to achieve is to have a currency that has a backing, which is why they've been stockpiling all gold and other natural, minerals, if you will. Your thoughts on that?
I think the U.S. thoughts or strategy to maybe come up with CBDCs instead of, the ideology that you can live or grow an economy based on budgets, I think is the biggest challenge right now for the US and other countries, which is one of the reasons why they've not quickly jumped on Bitcoin. But what they don't realize is that the short-term pain is actually a long-term gain, which is what a lot of folks are holding up on. Right? This is why they're coming up with all the CBDCs and everything else. And I won't be surprised if the BRICS come up with their own CBDCs, because there's conversation right now that African nations are coming together to come up with a currency for them to transact with internally without having to be on the SWIFT. So BRICS is doing its own thing. African nations are coming up with its own thing. Europe is coming up with its own thing. So we have all this divide going on within even the BRICS themselves and the different continents. Absolutely. And here we are thinking, the US dollar is going to continue to retain its global value. And we are saying that it's a huge challenge, it's not going to do that. But one thing that solves that problem, though, on the global level is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is global. And it allows for the transparency. And I think it might actually reduce this whole border tension that we have going on. But nobody wants to pay attention to that, because it's still that control. Everybody feels like they still need access to maintain that control of their citizens, which we know over time has been drawn, war after war. Lines have been drawn and drawn and drawn again. And we just have nations that are not really nations, but just control numbers by the elites. Nobody want to pay attention to that.
This is one thing that I think is interesting about this situation. If SWIFT is no longer the reserve currency, I think that African nations find themselves, especially ones that are post-colonial nations, which is really, they're still colonized.
All of them,
right? Especially like
except
the French
Morocco.
Exactly. Like those, especially like the French nations, right? I think that this puts Africans in a unique position where they can actually get to transact with other people without I guess, repercussions from France as
on a level playing ground.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because if the African nations now align themselves with Russia, I don't think Europe is in a place or has the leverage at this point in time to do anything. Because at this point in time, Russia has weaponized natural resources and energy against the West essentially, and Europe is just not in a good place right now to take on anything right now. I don't think they will do anything to any African nation if they decided to check out. But I think this is a great opportunity for these African nations to switch over to Bitcoin instead of the CBDC idea they're throwing around. Go ahead.
We can weaponize our military at any point and stop anybody. We can weaponize our US dollar at any point. Russia figured they can weaponize their natural resources. Africa, even though they own all the natural resources, for some reason they don't know how to weaponize it because they're so dependent on the colonizing countries like France and Europe and the Americas and China, because China is a new colonizer, which they don't know. It goes back to Africa's leadership, though. If the African leadership can be educated about the value of Bitcoin and the fact that even if you allow mining in your country, this whole crap about ESG nonsense, they can still add additional value to their countries. I mean, Bitcoin really is the answer when it comes to Africa at the end of the day.
I agree with that, sir. I agree with that. It makes me wonder, and guys, let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think that, or what do you think would be the best move for the US here? Do we just keep going down the same path that we're going right now, or do we switch over to a reserve currency that actually has a fixed supply, which is the same thing that these guys are trying to do right now, except it's just backed by gold and things like that? Personally, I think Bitcoin is the move because we're in a technology age, man. And the faster you can move money around and the better you can protect your wealth, the better it is for everyone, So I think it's time to put some of the arguments or the debates that have been going on in America forever, which have not really been very fruitful to anyone, and start looking at some more serious things.
Yeah, you see, I like how simple you made it. All the unnecessary debates. We're over here talking about Roe versus Wade, and all this stuff.
Sometimes I like to maintain some sort of diplomacy. It's not every time that I just like to go off on everyone.
There are bigger problems going on in the world than all the stuff that Congress is arguing about now. I think it's a bunch of distractions, and people need to know that.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's okay that the main things that are on TV right now is just confusion about gender and things like that. Because if America cannot agree on something that simple, it is difficult to agree on anything else, And I think the fact of the matter is this is something that is going to affect everyone, whether whether you're a woman or not, or whatever else is out there. But this is something that is concerning, and I think it's good to just share it out as the main thing here.
It's so bad that even the Build Back Better plan, whatever it is that the Democrats are coming up with, they can't even agree on that.
Yeah.
So if you can't get your infrastructure right, how are you going to get your currency right?
That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Well, let's see if we have some comments. We have Nordup Inc. He said, peace, champion. How you doing this morning? Right. And let's see. Malik says, what's up, fellas? Malik, good morning to you. Jake Fever, 7 years ago, Bitcoin was $250. Wow.
Jesus.
I know. Yet people say Bitcoin is going to zero. They must be reading the chart upside down. It is what it is, right? Well, we're out of time here. Hope you guys found this video resourceful, right? Oh, Taki says very true. There's a massive delay on these comments. Yeah, but yeah, there it is. So yeah, hope you found this one very useful. I think that this is something that everyone should look into. We can actually post this link to this article in here. So if anyone would like to take a deeper read, right, of this one, we think it would be a good thing to do, right?
Yeah, zoom out. Don't allow the mass media to keep your eye focused on just the little minute data that don't matter. When you zoom out, you will now start understanding the importance of Bitcoin. If you stay focused on what the mass media is giving you, you'll be like, oh, everything is fine and dandy. But in reality, we are in some serious times, just like we said at the beginning of the show. Serious, interesting times. And the US, if we're going to maintain our world power, or whatever it is that we want to call it, we need to start taking some action now. And we're too super distracted right now. A lot have happened in the last 8 years that needs to be realigned, and we've done some really bad jobs in the past with our global policies around the world, and I think it's slowly coming back to bite us in the butt. And we can fix this, and I think Bitcoin is one of those solutions for fixing it.
Absolutely. Well, this was a good, quick one. Happy Monday to everyone. Hope you have a phenomenal week. You know what I mean? A week of winning and all that sort of great stuff. Until next time, Brazen out.
Double up out.
Oh wait, dude, I gotta be on point, bro. I'm missing my banner. I can't even close out right now. Give me 1 second.